As Alexander the Great pushed his massive army deep into the Persian Empire, he marched his forces along the southern coast of Asia Minor. This route through the region of Pamphylia presented a severe geographical problem. The only available path was a narrow strip of shoreline, completely trapped between steep, towering mountains on one side and the Mediterranean Sea on the other. Because of local storm conditions and tidal shifts, this tight corridor was heavily prone to flooding. Marching tens of thousands of armored men into it risked a fatal bottleneck where the army could easily be trapped and drowned. But as Alexander's vanguard approached the water's edge, an impossible event occurred. According to the ancient historian Arrian, the sea unexpectedly pulled away. The shoreline suddenly lay exposed. Alexander ordered his men forward, and the entire army quickly marched across the damp seabed, escaping what should have been a logistical disaster. Crossing the Pamphylian coast successfully kept the military campaign on schedule. It also inadvertently handed Alexander a piece of physical proof that he was favored by the gods. To understand what actually happened on that beach, we have to look past the ancient superstition and apply modern meteorological science to the Mediterranean environment. First, the Mediterranean Sea does not experience extreme lunar tides. You won't find the massive gravitational pulls that regularly empty out oceanic coastlines. Instead, the culprit behind this phenomenon is a highly specific weather pattern known as an intense offshore wind. When strong offshore winds blow continuously from the landmass, they apply massive shear force to the coastal water, physically pushing the sea away from the shoreline. To anyone standing there, this meteorological displacement leaves a temporary land bridge exposed in its wake. Alexander was known for his extreme risk tolerance. He recognized the environmental anomaly, seized the moment, and immediately ordered his men into the gap. It was an extraordinarily dangerous gamble. If those localized winds had shifted or died down while his troops were halfway across, the sheer volume of the Mediterranean would have rushed back in, crushing the army against the cliffs. His success at Pamphylia shows that his military brilliance extended beyond phalanx formations. He possessed the nerve to weaponize a brief, volatile meteorological window to maintain the unrelenting momentum of his invasion. Once the physical danger of the crossing had passed, the psychological campaign immediately took over. Ancient militaries operated in a world governed by superstition. Commanders and foot soldiers alike made life-or-death decisions based entirely on their interpretation of omens and signs. Alexander's propagandists and later historians stripped away the meteorological reality of the wind. Instead, they framed the receding water strictly as an act of nature, willfully bowing to the Macedonian king. This flowchart tracks the deliberate evolution of Alexander's public identity. He starts his campaign as a mortal king, achieves victories that frame him as an unstoppable conqueror, and then uses retold events like Pamphylia to transition into a semi-divine figure. Circulating these stories achieved two things at once. It solidified total unity and confidence within his own ranks, and it deeply demoralized the Persian forces waiting for them. The Pamphylian crossing exemplifies how historical legacy is built. Alexander survived the physical terrain through calculated timing, but he secured his immortality because he recognized the power of the event, bending the narrative of nature itself to elevate his ambition.